Clothing used to take a long time to make. Everything was tailor-made and it lasted. Clothes were passed down from one person to the next. Then factories came along and started mass-producing textiles. Clothing became more affordable but still lasted a long time. And soon enough, clothing factories started mass-producing clothes, and clothing became cheaper and cheaper. Consumption increased drastically. So where do all the used clothes go? When you donate your clothes to charity, most of these clothes are sold in bulk to African countries, who in turn open stalls and shops selling these second-hand clothes. 20 years ago, people bought clothing once a year, or once a season, and these items lasted 10 to 15 years on average. Now, factories mass-produce clothing, and usually 40% more than is required. People have gone from buying clothing each season to buying a new piece of clothing each week on average. Clothing pollution is a new reality. In this episode, we will look at the pollution caused by clothing every year and some possible solutions to our growing problem. A massive 351 million kilograms of clothes, an equivalent to 2.9 billion t-shirts, are traded annually from Britain alone. In the UK, people spend around £44 billion on clothing per year. Each household spends around £4,000 on clothing annually. An average of 30% of a wardrobe has not been worn in a year, and around £140 million of clothing goes to landfills annually. 70 to 90% of clothing donated is sold second-hand to buyers in developing countries. The selling of second-hand clothing reduces global waste and allows people in developing countries the ability to afford clothing. Second-hand clothes from an array of developed countries dominate local market stalls in sub-Saharan Africa. Across the African continent, second-hand clothes are a mainstay of informal traders, accounting for the majority of clothing sales in some countries. A used pair of jeans will typically cost £2.90 and a t-shirt £1.50. Second-hand clothes are cheaper than new alternatives and normally better quality, but the average daily income is just £3, so even used clothes are difficult to afford. Selling clothes does provide some jobs, but there are also negative impacts. Importers don't know what they're buying or the quality of what's inside. Buyers sort through their lot and organize it for their shops. Kenya alone imports around 100,000 tons of second-hand clothes, shoes, and accessories a year, many of which were originally donated to charity shops in the West. According to Oxfam, more than 70% of the clothes donated globally end up in Africa. The decline of Kenya's textile industry dates back to the early 1980s, when market liberalization policies spearheaded by the World Bank opened up the local economy to second-hand clothes. Previously, they had been distributed for free among the poor. But the superior quality and originality of the clothes soon caught the eye of the young urban population, creating a demand that led to the collapse of many of Kenya's once robust textile companies. Recently, the country banned the importation of used clothing, the government's latest effort to save an industry that is all but extinguished and is intended to try to recover some of those lost jobs. But paradoxically, a ban could devastate another group of Kenyans who depend on the second-hand clothes trade to make a living. Ted Josiah, who started the local brand Jok-A-Jok in honor of his late wife, who was a fashion enthusiast and designer. Both material and labor is sourced locally and is considered a luxury brand in Kenya. Afrique gained a lot of notoriety when featured on Beyoncé's website. They were one of the first brands to create an African print-only clothing line in the country. Slowly but surely, the Ankara trend picked up and now they're recognized worldwide. They include unique designs for both men and women. Our favorite local brand is Sauve. Sauve is a Kenyan clothing brand that specializes in upcycling bags. They convert ordinary, everyday bags into unique, personalized ones using Ankara fabrics. Kitu Kali is also a brand making a powerful impact by training people in the slums of Kibera, using second-hand fabrics for the inside of the shoes and 100% cotton for the outside. The shoes are vibrant, African, and sustainable. A walk in our shoes will not only empower your style, it empowers every steady Kenyan hand and their families. Ikwetta is a brand of leather bags and footwear handcrafted by Kenyan artisans with a focus on sustainability. We believe in crafting pieces that are luxurious and timeless so they can be worn for years, even decades to come. To ensure this, we source only the finest materials from ethical factories. Next time you are shopping online, be more creative. Search for sustainable fashion that serves to empower communities and reduce textile pollution. Please share with us your favorite brands that are dedicated to reducing textile pollution or promoting